good. And Eric, if you could, when you get a sec, just make sure I'm sounding good over on Facebook, and I'm not
Get
too
my
ugly
tablet
for the
now.
screen. Awesome. So, one thing we did start talking about last night, and I brought it up, and I don't know why I didn't remember to talk about it on this show earlier. Something big happened 2 days ago, which would have been, what, Tuesday? Something very big, something that could have serious consequences for, I would say, a good demographic of the people that listen to this show. Because I feel like a lot of people that listen to me are aligned with me, with my values. And some people may say I'm overreacting to this. I don't think I am. We all know the Sandy Hook massacre. Extremely sad. Was it 20 kids shot and the teacher? 20 to 25 people were killed. Well, on Tuesday, the victims' parents, most of them, were awarded a $73 million settlement in a lawsuit against Remington Arms, which makes Bushmaster the model of AR-15 that was used in the shooting. And I have an article here. I'll read through it so you guys can get the details, and I'm going to mute you, Kentucky, real quick, just as a little bit of background. But it says that Remington Arms will pay $73 million to families of 5 children and 4 adults killed in the Sandy Hook Elementary School massacre. The family said on Tuesday, marking the first time a gun maker has agreed to a major settlement over a mass shooting in the United States. 20 students and 6 adults were killed on December 14, 2012. And so they're talking about the thing. It says Adam Lanza was a shooter and he used a Remington Bushmaster AR-15. I'm trying to see where it was. All right, so it says the settlement will be paid through insurance policies. Lawyers for the family said in the settlement, today marks an inflection point when our duty of care to our children as a society finally supersedes the bottom line of an industry that made such an atrocity like Sandy Hook possible. This is one of the fathers of one of the children that unfortunately passed away in the shooting. Now, homeboy, 88 here, he asked if I was sad for the gun company. I'm sad for the future overstepping of our rights as American citizens. Why should Remington, the people that made the gun, be liable for the person using the gun? I want you to think about this. It's very aggravating. But look, this comes one day after, or maybe even the same day, that Joe Biden's deputy press secretary got up and made an outline regarding how they were going to combat guns and gun violence in the United States. They said that they were going to start trying to put people in jail, these gun dealers that are illegally selling the guns, especially in big cities. If a gun dealer is selling a firearm in a big city, I guarantee you they're legally selling that firearm. They act like the problem is people, these gun stores selling guns to anyone. No, that's not the problem. See, we have an administration, and it's not even this administration, it's everyone that seems to be opposed to the guns, has no fucking idea or doesn't even want to take the time to look at what the real causes are. Are we going to start suing auto companies because someone was texting and driving and killed someone? Are we going to start suing beer companies that are still able to advertise in commercials for the Super Bowl and all that stuff because someone got drunk on Budweiser and drove home and killed someone? This is not a good thing. It's not.
I'm gonna sue R.J. Reynolds if I get cancer.
Say that again.
I was just joking. No, I said I was gonna sue R.J. Reynolds if I get cancer from smoking.
But that's the same thing, right? Here's the other
Yeah.
issue. I looked up and I found an article here. Adam Lanza, who was the shooter, it says case files also delve deeper into actions that Peter Lanza took on behalf of his son Adam in the years before and after Peter Lanza's divorce from Nancy Lanza. Nancy Lanza was his mom, who he shot on that same day before he went to the school and shot at the school. The files reveal how Nancy Lanza appeared not to follow the advice of her son's physician, taking her son off medication and failing to reschedule missed appointments. The newly released reports come at a time when members of the state's Sandy Hook Advisory Commission have sharply criticized the recently released prosecutor's summary of the investigation as lacking any real information about the mental health of the gunman who killed 20 first graders and 6 educators. In August, Peter Lanza provided state police detectives with documents relating to Adam Lanza's schooling and psychological history, according to the case files released Friday. Included in the emails between Peter Lanza and Kathleen Koenig, a clinical nurse specialist in psychiatry at Yale Child Study Center in New Haven, regarding her treatment sessions with the shooter, as well as an evaluation by Dr. Paul Fox, a former Connecticut psychiatrist now living in New Zealand. Details of a 3-hour exam that Adam Lanza had in 2006 with another Yale Child Study psychiatrist, Dr. Robert A. King, were released for the first time on Friday. It says that Peter Lanza sought help for his son through the Employee Assistance Program at his workplace. He worked for General Electric. This guy had big problems. He was on antidepressants. His mom took him off the antidepressants. But there's a bigger problem than the firearm. And Homeboy88 says maybe in the 1900s and early 1900s we could defend ourselves against the government with guns, but in this day and age the government has so much technology that we have no chance. So why do we need AR-15s? You're wrong, homeboy, because you're not taking into consideration that half or 75% or even more, maybe 85 to 90% of the people that are in our armed forces support the citizens that own the guns. You understand? Everyone acts like the government would have this massive military fighting the citizens. No, because the military would have a big coup against them probably before it even got to that point. And this is what I do find funny. In the same article about this lawsuit, they start talking about an AR-15. And let me find it here. It says Koskov, who was an attorney, I believe, said the case focused on the marketing of the gun. The AR-15, which was originally made for combat and for decades only appealed to a small civilian market. After the Cerberus private equity firm bought Remington in 2007, it launched an aggressive campaign that pushed sales of AR-15s through product placement in first-person shooter video games and by touting the AR-15 as an effective killing machine. Guys, we can't be so fucking stupid. We cannot be this stupid. There's a big difference between an AR-15 and an M4 or an M16. There's a major difference. There's a huge difference between the civilian AR-15 and the military M4 and M16. It's not even close. It just looks the same. And it was... What else is marketed through first-person shooter and video games that hasn't been sued? Has Grand Theft Auto been sued? Because didn't the people that shot at the Columbine say that, you know, they played games like Grand Theft Auto and stuff that pushes violence? I mean, why aren't we suing Call of Duty then? They're the ones that are pushing it. $73 million. I think last night Jester, you were there. I think we looked up whatever Remington company was worth. I think it's about a half a billion dollars, 500 million roughly. So it was like
Michael,
good.
there's a bunch of different problems with this lawsuit, payout aside.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we have fathers and husbands and mothers kill off family members for small life insurance policies all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't put it past parents to pay someone to shoot up a school if they know that these lawsuits are available to them. And it's not just about the kids. I mean, it's not just about who they're primarily targeting for the lawsuits. It's also the innocent lives that get caught in the crossfire. And not only that, we know that the amount of people that get killed by the AR-15 is a very low number anyway,
Mm-hmm.
statistically.
Yep.
Okay. If you really want to break this down and talk about, the specifics of the AR-15, the way this image is, it's imaged after the M16, okay, which has been glorified in Vietnam movies for years
Mm-hmm.
and all these other war movies.
Yep.
So I don't see lawsuits going out against these people, and we can't just keep suing people for anything. It's going to come to the point where you're suing automakers over vehicular manslaughter.
That's exactly what I just said. Yeah.
This is opening a very, very big can of worms. And the thing about it is, and everybody asks me a lot about, how are they going to really get a handle on gun control? How are they going to institute it? My answer is always the same. They're going to make it socially unacceptable to have certain weapons, and that's when people are going to start giving them up.
Yep.
This was a win for gun control over the AR-15. Why do they want the AR-15 out of civilians' hands? Two reasons. Number one, it's a very easy, effective weapons platform to operate. The other thing is a lot of the veterans that have actual good physical training know this weapon inside and out, and they are very effective with it, and it scares the shit out of the government.
Yep.
I digress.
And here's the other thing you missed on that too. What is so great about the AR-15? How versatile and easy it is, right? You can, like you brought up last night, the attachments, right? You can build it. It's very easy. It's very convenient. It's a tool. It's a fucking tool. A pistol's a tool, and it's not a tool just to shoot someone, right? It's a tool when I'm on my property in Alabama, and we have a major waterway that runs through it, and we have more snakes, venomous snakes, than I've ever seen. I need a firearm because I shoot when I see snakes. It's a tool. We have beavers that dam up pipes and blow our roads out. When I see beavers, I shoot. There's other things. Like, it's a tool. A gun has never killed anyone, but there are people that have killed a lot of other people. And it's crazy. And we're going down a really dark path because now they just opened the door. You understand? Because they won this lawsuit, other states will start adopting this. And they'll refer back to this case as a resource for future cases. Next, you're going to see these families in inner city Chicago, when there's a mass shooting, start suing firearm companies.
And Michael, I just pulled up the statistics. 45.7% of homicides are committed with handguns.
Mm-hmm.
2.6 with rifles, 10.6% with knives or other cutting instruments. So, effectively, by these statistics, a hammer is more deadly than the rifles.
Yeah, well, I told you this the other day. What was it, like 500 people, I think I said, in 2019 that were killed with all those mass shootings?
I'm looking at saying 364.
Yeah. It was very low, extremely low. The difference is that it's always pointed out when that gun is used because what is the difference if 10 people are shot in 10 different cities on the same day or 10 people are shot at one time in one city? It's still fucking 10 people dead, right? Oh, but it's okay.
It's the media.
Yeah. It's okay because maybe a pistol shot 10. People get shot. 100 and some people, I think, one weekend in Chicago got shot not long ago. But it was different occurrences.
And how many of those were with legally owned firearms?
None of them. None. That's the thing. This gun was bought legally. It was legally owned.
I could go out, and I would never do this. Let me put that out there before I say this. But I could go out and have a mass shooting with a pistol, and I guarantee you it wouldn't get the publicity that got just because that was AR-15,
Exactly.
the demonized gun of the country.
The gun I carry, the Kel-Tec PMR-30, it's a 22 caliber. It holds 30 rounds. I will do more damage with that than an AR-15. You know why? I can very accurately shoot it. It's quiet, and I can shoot it faster than shit. I mean, you can lay it down, and it's just, I can't believe we are discriminating against what firearms are actually used, and I can't believe that we're going to blame a firearm for anything. I mean, go ahead.
I have a cordless Milwaukee 16 gauge nailer that I could fuck shit up with if I wanted to, but they still sell those over the counter.
Mm-hmm.
Homeboy said it's overkill. Actually, really, it's not overkill because there are far more powerful rifles out there available to the civilian market. Hell, a 5.56 is basically a 22 with just a lot of powder behind it.
It is a 22. That's all it is. It's the diameter is almost like what point 0.003 millimeters bigger, right? Is that how that works? That's all it is.
Yeah, the 3 on the end of 223 is the only difference between that and a 22.
Yeah. So go measure that, and that's in the circumference too. Is it diameter or circumference that they're measuring there? It's a diameter. So, I brought this up the other day. Do you know what I use when I hunt? A 243 super short, which shoots 4,000 feet per second. I also will use a 308, which is what a sniper uses. Or I'll use a 30-06, which is what they use in the M1 Garand. You see, we used to send soldiers over to battle with actual ammunition that was meant to fucking kill people as soon as it hit you. There's a big difference between a regular hunting round and the 5.56. A major difference, and the 5.56 is nowhere even near as lethal as that. And slightly brings up a good point, too. He said, why stop there? Why not sue the manufacturer of the bullets, too? Exactly. You need bullets for the gun to fire. There's so many different roads you could go down with this lawsuit now. They have opened the door to this is how they're going to do it. It's going to be through legal battles. Okay, yeah, you have your Second Amendment. You're allowed to own this. But we're just going to sue the shit out of these firearm companies and make it to where their
can't afford
insurance
to make them anymore.
Yeah, because you understand, it's being paid out through insurance. No one's going to want to insure these firearm dealers. No one will.
Michael, did you also know that I believe it was back in, I think 2017, that Bank of America in particular was one of them. They decided to stop loaning money to all gun manufacturers. And I'm sure they weren't the only bank that jumped on board with this.
Mm-hmm. So, and maybe Jess or Kentucky can clear this up for me too. I remember it's Franklin Gun Shop. It's up at my office. They really specialize in selling used firearms. So you can go there, you can, they'll buy your guns and blah, 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 and they kind of resell them. I remember I was there looking one day, and on this very day, right before they closed, something, I cannot remember what it was, but something either passed or mandated or whatever, and they start pulling certain brands of AR-15s off the shelf and said, yep, we can't sell them. And it was something with the company. But what I did notice afterwards, what some of these firearm companies started doing is they stopped selling to civilians. They just started going and getting the military contracts, and that's it. That's all they wanted to deal with. They say it's just we don't want the liability, and that's exactly where we're going down. Here's what's also crazy about this: not just the timing of, they won this suit right when Biden comes out and starts talking about his firearm agenda. The NRA in 2020 went bankrupt. Now I know it's still around, but they had some issues there during COVID. They're going to kill any kind of organization that is built to protect and fight legal battles like this, and they're just going to destroy you. There won't be laws against firearms. They can't do that, but they can sue the shit out of you and cost you a damn bunch of money and disincentivize anyone. There's no firearm commercials. When's the last time you saw a commercial? Maybe on a hunting channel for a hunting rifle, but. And anyone that says they have, I'll call you a liar. When's the last time you saw a commercial for an AR-15? Ever?
Well, I don't see any commercials for firearms in particular, but I mean, you do see NRA commercials occasionally.
NRA is different
around here,
right? It's an organization. They're not promoting guns. They promote gun rights and rights, constitutional rights. Really, not even gun rights, but constitutional rights. But they're not promoting or advertising a firearm, let alone a particular brand of firearm.
I could see where this is going, and I can see them. They'll like you said, they'll never be able to get the guns back. That's just never going to happen in America.
Nope.
But I do see them cutting production on them. Especially specific guns. I don't think they'll quit producing guns in total for the civilian market, but I can see them just how they did with automatic rifles back in the 80s. It used to be real cheap for a civilian to go out and get an automatic rifle. You used to be able to go out and get one for $600 and pay a $200 tax stamp on it, and there you go. You were allowed to own an automatic gun, and I can see it going down that same road. And they ban the continued purchase, sale, and trade of specific rifles.
Yep, and I think they're going to ban gun shows. Right, they're going to go there. I also think that they are going to make it illegal to put firearms in a trust. Like, you're actually able to do that now. Like, if you want to go get a silencer, I believe you have to a suppressor, you have to form a trust and do it that route for certain reasons. But I think that they're going to make it to where you cannot pass those guns down to your heirs when you pass away. And they're going to stop the transfer of those firearms. And that's how they're going to eliminate them from society. That's where it'll stop, and they're going to do exactly everything you just said, Kentucky. But then they're going to stop you from being able to pass those down.
Yeah, Michael, I don't think that they're going to. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
No, I was just. Go.
I don't think that they can mess with the gun shows a whole lot. If anybody's ever been to a gun show, they're selling more than just firearms. They're selling ammunition, knives, collector's items, patches, survival gear, all kinds of wild stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the only thing that they would do is they might require an ATF agent to be at these gun shows to make sure that people are properly doing the background checks, because they are doing background checks. This whole thing that they're not doing background checks is just a myth. Right.
Let me give you this scenario, though, to that, right? Because I think you have a point. Let me give you this scenario, though. They're going to have to buy a bond to hold that gun show, to insure it in case something happens with a weapon that was sold at that gun show or even at that gun show. And it's going to be extremely expensive to where it's not going to be worth having that show.
Hey, Michael, something interesting to look up in reference to the Sandy Hook thing would be find out where this firearm was purchased
Mm-hmm.
and why the company that sold it didn't have to be involved in this lawsuit. That would be a very interesting thing to find
I
out.
think I was trying to find that. Let me see if I can. Let's see.
Why wasn't the gun store that sold the rifle held liable for this
It was
rather than
probably Dick's.
Yeah. Let's see. Um.
Michael? I could actually what
I-
you said. I could see that happening. Then basically pricing them out of it.
Yeah.
You know.
That's the only way they're going to be able to. They're going to make it where you can't transfer it when you die, right? And then they're going to make it so costly on the insurance purposes, and they're going to make these lawsuits very easy to win. It's going to have to come down to a cost thing. So I think I found it here, Jester, as far as where she bought it. It says. And several other firearms were used later that day. Now, okay, he used other guns than just the AR-15 too. They don't list it. It says the rifle as well as an AR-15. Oh, she had purchased a rifle as well as an AR-15, the civilian semi-automatic version of the military M16 assault rifle, which is the stupidest fucking word ever, and several other firearms that Adam Lanza would use later that day. So he used other guns.
So here's the gun shop filed for bankruptcy, but they're still trying to push a lawsuit against them. Now, this is dated July 28th, 2016.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And this was the Riverview Gun Shop, I guess. RiverviewSales.net was their website. This was in Bridgeport. It says the East Winter Gun Shop that sold Nancy Lanza the Bushmaster rifle used in the Sandy Hook Elementary School massacre. Filed for bankruptcy this week, but a lawsuit filed by family members from victims will go forward. A judge ruled Thursday. So I'm wondering if this lawsuit didn't go through. I'm going to look more into this, and because I'm wondering if that's why they didn't go after Remington, because this lawsuit got shot down. But another thing to follow up with is what are these families going to do with this money after the fact? I mean, you're awarding $73 million. I'm
The
sure
5
attorneys
families.
are taking that, but yeah, but so everybody's walking away with a pretty decent amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, I'd like to see what they put that money into. Are they going to put it into more gun control? Are they going to use that money to spread awareness, start websites?
You know they will.
campaign
Part
against?
of it. Yeah.
Or are they going to use this money to like go to the beach and buy stupid shit?
Well, it doesn't matter what they use it for. It's their money now. But I would imagine part of it will go into a fund, some sort of nonprofit to push this stuff. Yeah.
Here's a good question. Whatever happened to those? I don't know the correct word for it. But you know, media outlets have like a certain amount of liability protection.
Mhm.
Auto manufacturers have a certain amount of liability protection. Whatever happened to the firearms liability protection? Because I know
They don't
that
have
did
it.
exist at one point.
I don't know. I mean, look,
Because just because you make something doesn't mean you're responsible for what somebody else does with that item.
exactly.
You are not in control of their mind, you know?
Yeah. I mean, what? Okay, so and this wasn't his gun. The mom bought the gun, right? So what if someone steals your car? You know, runs you over with your car, and takes it and goes and commits a terrorist attack by running through people. Now we can start suing Ford or GM or whoever. Get the fuck out of here. You know what? It's
Right.
I mean, what is it their fault because they didn't have some highly advanced way, to shut that car down once they knew it was stolen? Well, I can tell you right now, there's gonna be a big fucking problem with that too, because that's the invasion of privacy and stuff. Like, I don't want to be able to shut my car down. There's a lot of problems. Here's the other thing, especially when it comes to AR-15s. What about why didn't they sue the company that made the magazine? That wasn't Remington. Why didn't they sue the company that made the site? That wasn't Remington. It could have been pieced together. It was probably just the lower or the lower, maybe the upper if she bought the whole thing together. That was made by Remington. But there's a lot more pieces to this. It's aggravating, and this is very bad. I don't care if you believe in gun rights or not. Or not gun rights, everyone should believe in gun rights, but the AR-15 thing or not. You still need to see the severeness of possible future consequences with not just this, but anything. You know what? So I can get sued as a financial advisor if someone that I don't even know goes and loses money in the stock market? Really? What we're gonna start suing Apple because you lost money in their stock and they didn't do anything that manipulated that stock? I know people try to do that, but a lot of times they lose. But this is crazy. All they did was sell a product that they make. Everyone knows what product they make. They don't advertise it. How many people, if someone can look up the number for drunk driving or DUIs that killed someone last year? Let's find that number, and let's compare it to not just the number of AR-15 deaths, but the entire amount of, not even gun homicides, but gun deaths total. There's 45,000 of those. I bet you there are more drunk driving accidents. We don't sue the alcohol companies, and we don't sue the auto industry. Someone brought up a point on Facebook, said so we can start suing governments like the Chinese government because of the virus. That's more feasible than suing the firearm manufacturer. Can I sue Fauci for sending funds and not monitoring what those funds were used for gain of function research and causing how many deaths in the world? Millions? Probably the worst terrorist attack to ever fucking occur in the whole history of the world.
Or if you look back to September 11th, 2001, when Saudi nationals, came onto American soil, and flew airplanes into the World Trade Center, you have 9/11 families who question how come, the Saudi government is immune from class action lawsuits.
Oh, no.
Because
well, not the Saudi government,
indicating that they, or any other government that knew about it but chose to do nothing.
Well, not the government. Why can't we sue Boeing that manufactured the airplane? Or Airbus, whoever's plane it was? Or why can't we sue Delta?
Or American and United Airlines?
Yeah, I think it was Delta flight, wasn't it? Why can't we sue Delta?
Delta didn't have any.
They didn't?
They didn't have airplanes that were involved in the 9/11 attacks. It was just American and United.
It doesn't matter, though. It doesn't matter who it is. It would be Boeing because they're the manufacturer. Why can't we sue that? We can't sue. You're telling me that so it's the same thing. Why can't you sue Boeing for 9/11? They manufactured that airplane that was used to kill 3,000 people. What are we talking about here? If this isn't an obvious scam to try and disarm the United States, I don't know what is. I don't think I'm overreacting to this. People are going to say I'm overreacting. I'm not. It's when we say, look, if they take guns away, it's not just that they're taking guns away, they're going to start taking other rights away. When they limit your free speech, they start limiting other rights. It is a chain reaction. The government is going to push and push and push and push and push. No different than they do when it comes to war. Look what's going on right now. They're going to fucking push, just waiting for someone to throw a punch. It's like their whole purpose of life for a government is to do that. And, you know, that's bullshit. $73 million. I'm sad that these people, it's fucked up. Why can't we sue the doctor? Why can't we? I mean, there's other issues here. What was going on at home? Obviously, he had mental problems. Here's the other thing that's a big thing to note. He didn't buy that gun with a mental illness. That would have been something to look at. And guess what? He didn't, which means that people with mental illnesses, yes, sometimes they get a hold of them, but they're not doing it by going to a gun store and buying it. This is scary. I mean, it is, because it's not gonna be an overnight thing, but it's gonna be a chain reaction. People are gonna start suing Colt. They're gonna start suing whatever. And you know what's funny about this though, is Colt and who has the pistol contract now? It's Sig Sauer for the military. People are gonna start suing those companies. And the government's allowing it, but the government's going to turn around and pay for the settlements to keep them in business so they can keep supplying arms to the military. Think about that. We're going to put a $500,000 lawsuit, or $500 million lawsuit in total on Colt, because people are getting shot with AR-15s in the United States. And meanwhile, we're going to take taxpayer money and pay those settlements for Colt because we need them to keep making these weapons so we can use them in a war. Jester asked, I'm really curious how many people actually died at the hands of an AR-15 he used versus the 2 pistols he had. Exactly, because he had other weapons, it says.
Yeah, he had a Sig Sauer and a Glock. It's fuzzy on what calibers he had. It seems like everything I read, it's telling me something a little bit different. But I'm really curious, how many people died at the hands of the AR-15 versus the Sig and the Glock, and why we're not seeing a lawsuit against Sig or Glock? Why is it just Remington? And I think the answer to this is Remington's a household name. Everybody knows it. And the big problem you have is they don't glorify Remingtons in Hollywood, but how many gangster-esque movies have you seen with somebody carrying a Glock? And then not only that, how many rappers rap about carrying Glocks? And then the flip side to that is, how are you going to sue a gun manufacturer that the military now has a contract with? Mm-hmm. This is all smoke and mirrors and all just another way to just mess with the heads of the American people.
So it's saying that the plaintiffs argued. Oh, okay. The PLCAA allowed the suit to be brought if a firearms manufacturer knowingly violated a state or federal statute applicable to the sale or marketing of the product. The plaintiffs argued that Remington had violated Connecticut consumer protection laws by creating an advertising campaign that targeted troubled young men such as Lanza. I don't believe that. Let's be honest here. We're already walking a thin line with the whole background check thing, right? The whole mental illness deal. Well before this event happened, do you really think a Remington, too, like you just said, Jester, is a household name? We all know who Remington is. Do you really think they were out breaking the law trying to sell weapons to fucking people with mental illnesses? Fuck no.
If that's the case, then where's the advertisement? I want to see it.
Yeah. Well, they said in that other article, it said that they did it through, video games and stuff like that. Come on. Then why exactly? Then they had to pay Call of Duty or these other games to allow them to put that gun in the game. There was a two-sided transaction there. Why aren't they liable?
Michael, based on this logic, shouldn't Adam Lanza also be able to sue Remington?
Is
I'm
he
just saying,
is he alive?
since it made him do it. Oh, I have no idea, but I'm saying, wouldn't that be the theory?
Yeah. But that's a good point too. Think about that. Who is alive? What mass shooter is still alive? That we know. I don't know if Adam Lanza is, but there's a few, right? Who else? The guy from the guy that shot up the church, that shot the black people at the church. What was his name? Dylan Roof.
Dylan Roof.
Yep, Dylan Roof. So can he sue?
Colorado shooter's still alive too.
Yeah. Okay, that's a
Yeah.
good one because he actually pled insanity.
Springfield,
I don't think he
Oregon
got
shooter.
it, but can he sue the firearm company for, since it was out there, he had access to it? Here's the other thing I want to bring up. Mexico, I'm going to mute you, Eric, because you got a lot of background noise. Oh. Mexico filed a U.S. lawsuit last year seeking $10 billion from several gun makers, accusing them of marketing their weapons to the country's gangs. If we, I'm going to click this link because we better not have paid Mexico $10 billion for arming the cartel. Especially when Mexican cartels are responsible for the deaths of 96,000 fucking Americans every year by bringing drugs in here. And if we did, then that just shows you how soft the United States has gotten. Mexico sued several gun makers in a U.S. federal court on Wednesday, accusing them of reckless business practices that supply what it called a torrent of illegal arms to violent Mexican drug cartels, leading to thousands of deaths. The lawsuit alleges that units of Smith & Wesson, Barrett Firearms, Colts Manufacturing Company, Glock, Sturm, Ruger & Company, and others knew their business practices had encouraged illegal arms trafficking into Mexico. The lawsuit cites weapons that had entered Mexico used in notorious shootings, noting that Colt's .38 caliber Emiliano Zapata 1911 pistol is engraved with the image of the Mexican Revolutionary and is a status symbol coveted by drug cartels. What's the objective? The companies in question compensate Mexico's government for the damage caused by their negligent practices, Foreign Minister Marcelo Ebrard said at a news conference about the lawsuit. I'm getting just fucking really mad reading this. I hate. Look, this is. I'm already past the point where I've started cussing here. This is crazy. 250,000 illegal immigrants. Sorry, Pook, but I'm on a rant, so I'm not even going to use the undocumented term for you. 250,000 illegal immigrants cross our southern border every month. 96,000 Americans die every year due to drugs. 70% of those due to fentanyl, all come across from Mexican cartels. And they want to sue us because those cartels have firearms that were made in the United States? And are you kidding me? The Mexican government shouldn't get a damn thing from the United States. And I've said this. Instead of worrying about Ukraine, I'd invade Mexico and get rid of the cartels. And then I'd threaten Mexico and say, if you don't keep them out of here, then I'm going to annex Mexico, and it's going to be the next state in the United States.
Well, see, the problem is, like with Mexico trying to sue the United States for the guns that the cartel has. I mean, that's just ridiculous because everybody knows that the majority of the guns that are produced in the world are produced here. You know, we could supply the entire world with guns.
I don't know, but are they? Because I know a lot of them are produced in like Belgium, and over in Europe, a lot of them, and sometimes over in Japan. Like, are they actually produced here? A lot of them.
Well,
at least I know Browning. I think they make a lot of theirs over in Belgium. Let's see. I'm going over here to Facebook. He says, during the Wild West, they had Gatling guns and licensed permit, registration, mental health, and age requirement not required. And no one got sued. I'm talking about the Wild West, though. People were shooting people all the time in the Wild West. But it is still a good point, right? It's a dangerous thing that we're trying here. In the fact, I mean, Mexico's lawsuit said over 500,000 guns are trafficked annually from the United States to Mexico, of which more than 68% of them, or over 340,000, are made by the firms in question. Mexico has suffered record homicide rates in recent years. That's not because they have guns. It's because they allow the cartel. They allow this whole drug thing to go. The Mexican government is corrupt because they're all getting a piece of it. This is well known.
I just looked it up. We are by far the largest firearms exporter in the world by about 3 times. The next closest one to us would be Russia.
Okay.
And they export 3. Let's see. This arms in billions. The United States 9,372, and then it goes down to 3,203 for Russia. Then next would be France, and then after France, Germany.
Yeah, but and you know the difference is Russia's, well, we do too, but Russia, I think probably the majority of the guns that they're exporting are used to kill Americans. Because we export firearms, yeah, but we also buy a lot of our firearms, right? We don't buy Russian firearms. So who are they exporting it to? The countries that don't like us. Why aren't we suing Russia, right? Why aren't we suing China? China does the same thing. Why aren't we... I mean, there's... And Cool Cat over on Facebook says, how does a country sue another country that has different laws and different courts? They have ways they do it. You know, it's... I think maybe some of it is when it comes to trade, you have to respect some of the laws that the country has. So if Mexico is not allowing you to actually import those and you're illegally doing it, that's where they're getting the basis of that.
Well,
but they're doing the same thing with people. What's that?
The World Court, don't we still have that?
I don't know.
Criminal Court.
I mean, I don't know anything about it or how it works. I'm just telling you that what would be the basis of it. Does the U.S. make polonium-210? I don't know.
Plutonium-210.
Plutonium-210. I know we make uranium here in Tennessee, in Oak Ridge. It's where they got the material for the Manhattan Project. Well, and all the bombs that we built. What's up, Sava? But this is aggravating, and there's some things when I get onto a topic like this and I read and I read and I read and I see how, and it just gets dumber and dumber and dumber and dumber, and you just get madder and madder and madder reading it. Mexico whining about anything to the United States, we should just ignore it. I mean,
I know you were talking just a minute ago about, you know, and I brought this up earlier with like 9/11 that, like suing like the airplane manufacturers and the airline companies whose planes, crashed into the World Trade Center Twin Towers. I know the way our judicial system is set up. We know that the manufacturer of the airplanes and the companies that own those airplanes would be irrelevant, which I think would go to like why the other countries whose like citizens flew those planes into the attacks, who knew about it and did nothing, like why they can't be sued. And I think a good question would be about the government, like who or what are they so afraid of that they don't want citizens of this country suing that country based on evidence that they had in their possession that these attacks were going to happen.
Well, there's a lot of things we could sue countries for, right? We could sue the big one. I mean, recently, just building on that, Eric, is the China, right?
The biggest one now would be China over allowing that virus to spread.
Exactly. Look, I've never met a gun that killed a person. I've only met guns that have been forced to kill against their will. Which I I've demonstrated it on videos. I probably have 3 or 4 during the whole Kyle Rittenhouse thing, where I've had a loaded AR-15, safety off behind me, sit there, and it's never once fucking shot anything. Never once. But people want to say, oh, I don't feel safe with the guns around and all that stuff. There's nothing dangerous about a gun. It's the only thing dangerous is a fucking person that has the gun.
And even John down in chat echoed that point. Guns don't kill people.
Mhm.
People with guns kill people. But people are. But then you have the liberal left who wants the Second Amendment to go away, to say, you know, they want to make it sound like guns have a mind of their own, and when they know that the only way a gun can do harm is if it gets in the wrong hands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In this whole Mexico lawsuit, do they really think if we stop gun exports to Mexico, that China or Russia wouldn't be exporting them after that? The cartels are going to get the guns. It would make no difference.
What headline are we talking about?
The Sandy Hook lawsuit that just settled the other day for $73 million.
Okay.
They were able to...
So,
go ahead.
Who sued who, though? Mexico or
No. The victims' parents of the Sandy Hook massacre were settled a lawsuit against Remington, the company that manufactured the gun that was used in the incident.
Oh, that's fucking... Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, but they had a link in that same article that was saying how Mexico also filed a lawsuit against the United States for the same kind of thing. And then, so I got onto that. And I was basically ranting about how Mexico has no place to sue the United States for anything.
Right.
You know, but it's a scary road. The problem is we have people in office here. How many politicians have spoken about this, by the way? I haven't heard one Republican that supports gun rights get up and comment about how this isn't a good thing.
Where do you go to find quotes or comments from politicians?
Yeah, you'd have to find it on like a Fox News or CNN, I would imagine, because that's who.
Where do you find it?
If I wanted to see what they were saying, I'd go to. If I wanted to see what they're saying, I would go to CNN or Fox, because if they talk about this topic, they're gonna have someone that is either for or against it, depending on which network you're watching, and they'll have someone speak on it. That's probably the best place.
Have you ever been to Politico's or?
You can find it there. Any mainstream media site, right, that has a bias would probably be the best place to go and find the opinions of lawmakers. And I mean, that's just to be honest, because I think maybe they have spoken out. I don't think so, but I don't think they will if they haven't, because no one wants to offend anyone, you know. Oh, you understand?
Well, it was just settled today.
Tuesday. Remember, Alex Jones kept saying that the Sandy Hook thing didn't happen, that it was a conspiracy and all this, and he just settled he lost a lot of money. They sued him for defamation and all that, which I that's different, right? That's a whole different deal. But I think some of these senators and representatives, oh yeah, I think it was like $20 or $25 million. It was a lot of money, but he kept pushing it and saying that it wasn't real and all this. But I think a lot of these other people don't want to speak out now because they're worried about that. They don't want to question it.
Oh, they're worried about defamation.
Whatever it was, it's wrong. Yeah. I'm sorry, like, it sucks. I'm not saying that this wasn't that this was a good thing. The Sandy Hook deal is extremely sad. But if you wanted to sue someone, there's a lot of other people along this line of people, you know, of involvement that should have been sued way before Remington, first of all. And really, the people that could have been sued were the ones that he shot his mom for taking him off his fucking meds.
Well, now, see, here's the problem with America at this point, man, is they have basically at this point eroded almost all of our fucking freedoms to nothing. You can't speak out on any media platform anymore against whatever political ideology that specific company has. You can't speak out against it. I keep getting shut down on TikTok. Every time I start talking about a specific person, I get shut down. You know?
TikTok.
Yep.
Because TikTok is
I know.
very.
Well,
They
okay.
get to
So
choose what goes viral and what doesn't.
what I'm gonna work on doing is I'm gonna work on getting over here, and eventually on Saturday
Telegram.
nights I'd like to do a show.
Get on Telegram.
But you can't speak out or you get shut out, and if you don't get shut out and it catches wind, then you get sued for it. I mean, it's fucking ridiculous. The idea that you can just sue anybody for anything in this fucking country. It's ridiculous.
If they can
Lawyers,
connect you to it,
that's the worst fucking thing ever.
If they can connect you to it, you're liable now. That's how it is. That's what they're saying. If you have any connection.
Can I just take a moment?
Go ahead.
Can I just say something to everybody? Everybody, if you're not on Telegram, you are in the past. Okay, you need to get updated and you need to get on Telegram and download it through telegram.org, not Google Play, because if you do, it'll be censored. You need to get better informed and get on a platform where you have a voice. And more of us need to get on there. I'm telling you, this Telegram, you need to figure out how to get on Telegram. Seriously.
Well, why does it matter where you download it? It's the same app.
No, because if you download it through Google Play, like I just said, they'll censor things. You have to do it through telegram.org. So that means you have to go into your settings and you have to allow an installation of an unknown source. And if you're worried about doing that, do a little bit of research, but they'll give you directions on telegram.org how to do it. And the first couple times you try to download it, it'll say that it's failed to download, but it doesn't really fail to download. You just have to be patient. And I'll help anybody. I'll walk them through it.
As the government is listening to us talk about how to get around certain things, and they're going to go and shut it down. No, I'm kidding.
Well, see, the thing is, we can't stop. We can't slow our pace. We have to pick up our pace because even though they might be listening, it's still a race between us and them to reach critical mass. If we can reach critical mass as a human population, we win. So don't stop your pace, you guys. Pick up the pace. Get on Telegram or get off of all of our enemies' websites and platforms. Facebook, Inc., anything Meta, get off it. Get off TikTok. It's owned by China. China is the enemy, one of them.
So I have a Meta relationship. I can't just leave.
What?
No, I'm kidding.
What?
I'm just joking. It's
well, just promote Telegram.
All right.
Everybody must get on Telegram.
Go ahead, Eric.
Well, I would also point out like a friend of mine, Arch, who the Slightly Serious Show has had the privilege of having on along with a couple other gentlemen from the Free Think Institute. And one thing he posts like about the upcoming Truth Social and and trying to get people off of like the Facebook, the TikTok, and the Twitter, and other left leaning social media that likes to censor and silence opposite points of view is that those people who seem so stuck on wanting to stay on there and being so stubborn and stuck in their ways because they feel like leaving there would be letting them win. But he made the great point that the longer people stay on those platforms are continuing to make money off of us.
Yeah. Look, it's a big problem. That's the first topic I had to get that off my chest with this whole gun thing. Okay, there's a couple other things I want to go into, though, and now I'm freaking my head's everywhere with this, and I can't even remember.
It'll come back to you.
Yeah, it will. Marcos, go ahead while I'm thinking, because I know you had something to say.
Oh, you are talking about Telegram. Sorry, my audio it's worse today. But Telegram officially is not going to work this year in the electoral period in Brazil. The Supreme Court has decided a week ago that we cannot use Telegram. Telegram will not work this year. So starting July 27.
And is that for everyone in Brazil or just people in the media and the government, Marcos?
Everyone.
Wow.
Are you going to protest? Is there going to be any protests?
The media are in collusion with the Supreme Court. All the objective is promote the guy that would like Obama here in Brazil.
So that means more of us need to get on Telegram to make up for Brazil. Okay.
Well, it won't matter because it won't help Brazil at all. They're not going to see it.
Right. But see what? Okay. Okay. So we
I
need to
think what
bring
you're
this
trying
to
to
light
say,
then.
Saba.
Mm-hmm.
I think what you're trying to say, Saba, is that people here in the States really need to be raising their voices about, like, what is happening in Brazil and them basically being left in the dark.
And you know what? Let's get in touch with Brazilians. Let's keep them informed. We get on Telegram. We keep them informed. Okay, so maybe we'll be their eyes on Telegram. Their voice on Telegram.
I'm trying.
I will say this, Saba.
Go ahead and email me.
I would say Brazilians are probably a lot more informed than we are, from just the ones I've talked to, especially in the last 2 days.
Well, I'd like to talk to a Brazilian, so go ahead and email me.
Go check out the episode from yesterday. We interviewed a foreign intelligence agent from Brazil. Thank you, Marcos. By the way, Marcos, have you met the president?
I met him and his family. He's an amazing guy. He has a big heart. It's not so brilliant, just like Trump. He has, but he has a good staff and an amazing staff with him. It's all guys like Colonel Paulo, from yesterday. He knows how to build a good staff.
Good. Any chance I can get him on here for about 10-15 minutes? No, I'm kidding.
Maybe. I can't. But good try.
Get the president on here.
I swear I'm gonna try.
Yeah. I mean, hey, if you're able to do it, let's go. We can talk. But you don't have to worry about it. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to worry about it. But that'd be awesome. That'd be cool to talk to him because I know he's very well respected. He's a great person.
But he doesn't speak English. It's gonna be difficult.
Well, what I found on the Google Meets, Marcos, yesterday talking to Paulo, we can have the subtitles in a different language, so I can read the subtitles when he's talking anyway, and we could actually use that as an interpreter.
Yeah, it's a resource. He is very close to some friends here who works in the agriculture business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that'd be great. I mean, look, we have things going on here in the United States that aren't good. We have things going on overseas that definitely aren't good. We've talked a lot about that the last 2 days. Now, to give an update on what's going on, last night, Jester sent us a message and said that the world was currently ending and that Russia was dropping nukes on Ukraine. No, I'm kidding. He didn't say that. But he did say Russia bombed Ukraine, which actually, it turned out to be a mortar attack against the Ukrainians from Russian-backed activists, I guess, or something. Maybe
it was the Russian separatists that did it.
Yeah, yes. And what they're saying is that was like a false flag hoax, just trying to be used to, push this issue. Putin said he was drawing forces away from the Ukrainian border. However, the United States is telling us that he actually deployed 7,000 more soldiers to the border. Who knows what's right now? We've gone over a lot of information, good information about the whole history of this conflict. We talked to a guy yesterday that knew a lot about it. And I would suggest, if you haven't seen that show or listened to it, to go watch it. He talks about China, and we talk about Russia, Ukraine, and the United States and our involvement. But the United States had a chance to avoid this whole thing. And not only avoid it, but to make Russia a very close partner and ally, especially moving forwards when we need them against China. But now we have actually screwed ourselves, pushed Russia away, and now they are partnered with China.
The Biden administration did, but not us.
No. The United States, over the last 30 years, we put ourselves in this hole. When Putin first got into office, we had a very good opportunity to bring them into NATO and partner with them and make them an ally. He wanted to do that. He asked to be a part of NATO, and we told him to go fuck himself.
Wait, who was president at that time?
Putin. Bush would have been... it would have been the end of Clinton and then the beginning of Bush in that era, because it was 2000.
Well, that's why. Now you know why.
Here's the other thing.
Democratic Party.
Well, yeah. Well, also Republican, because Bush. But you understand, Bush was going off of what his...
Right now.
Bush was going off of what his dad did, and I read the Wolfowitz Doctrine yesterday, part of it, and talked about that whole thing that was written in his dad's presidency and into Clinton's, and it outlines that whole thing. I'll put a link to it in the description for the video, the podcast on Podbean, and then on YouTube for the people that want to go check it out there.
Can I bring something up?
Yeah.
Just really quick. So something just kind of popped up in my head. So, we're all kind of getting to that point where we're divided on platforms, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys, are sharing something on TikTok or Facebook and it's important and, you have contact with others who are not on those platforms, if you want to be a real digital warrior, maybe take the extra step and convey that message if you can to others who are not on that platform and keep everybody informed. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, everything I put out is the same, basically, right? No matter what platform it is.
Well, no, I'm talking about if somebody like for example, me, I refuse TikTok and all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe on Telegram you can send it there, because we're connected on Telegram,
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, I can send it to you
if
you want to.
Not on the same platforms.
Yeah,
I'd love that because I try to do that for everyone else.
That's fine. I can send
I feel
it
left
to you
out when I don't get a message that everyone else got.
For an example, the logic of forbid the Telegram in Brazil electoral period, it's because the fact checking from the Supreme Court can't work in the Telegram.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I mean, Facebook's not allowed in China.
Or even it's not?
No.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Or even if you just have to call someone on the phone to tell them, do that if you can.
The NSA listens to that, right, Salva?
Look, they're listening and watching everything. If you don't think they are, you're dumb. Okay, look,
I know.
We're in a race here. As long as they let us, we need to take advantage and step up our game.
Michael J. Steele thinks that Edward Snowden's a terrorist. I laugh at that. I'm like, oh, so you're okay with the whole Patriot Act and them just fucking spying on us all the time? Like that guy didn't just bring a whole issue to life. But that's a topic for another day. It's scary though. A lot of this stuff is scary. This domestic stuff, the international stuff. That is what it is. Russia has made decisions to do certain things, and we've made decisions to do certain things as well that have led to this. There's been mistakes made, obvious mistakes that were made on both sides. And I hold the same opinion I always have, where we should not intervene with Ukraine, especially because Ukraine is, I don't care about their natural resources, which, by the way, go listen to the show the last 2 days. Nothing with this war, okay, has not nothing. Very minimal reasons for this war are related to the natural resources. Now, as far as the port and the waterways, yes, that's more of an important strategic portion, but a lot has to do with policy decisions between NATO, the U.S., and Russia with this whole Ukraine thing.
What? I think the reason why countries are getting away with certain things too is because people like us, or just regular people, in America have no idea anything about anything. They have no clue about anything. So I think one of the things we can do to step up our game is to start educating each other, make sure everybody's up to par. You know what I'm saying? At least anyone who's willing to listen. And as far as like, you know, like sending a message out to other countries, just to kind of make sure that they're on the same page as we are, like to other civilians, even the leaders, we should take the time to make little videos or something stating our opinion on these things. You know what I'm saying? Like we need to speak out more and at least pretend like somebody important is going to hear it. You know what I'm saying? We need to stop being so shy and procrastinating.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree, but when you dig down into it, Saba, there's no way you're going to get messages over to Russia that's going to supersede their propaganda that they get. And it's in no way that Russians are going to get messages to us to supersede the propaganda that we get. It goes both ways in this particular
Well, you don't
example.
know that, do you, really? And so we can do the best that we can while we're here, while we have a voice and a platform.
Go watch the interview, Sava, of Vladimir Ponza. I can send you the video on Telegram. It's a long interview. He's an independent journalist. Grew up in the U.S., born in France, and he's worked in media in Russia for a long time. But he's an independent journalist, and he explains this whole thing extremely well, especially after the fall of the Soviet Union. And you'll understand why, as far as what I said about us being able to get information to them and vice versa, won't happen, right?
Hey, Mike.
Yep.
Hey, Mike. Do it.
Huh?
Hey.
Kind of broke up.
Send
there.
it.
Oh yeah, I will. I'll send it. No,
send it over.
Yeah. Woody Bush, I wanted to play something for you, just to give you a little harder time about this. Y'all will like this.
Go green as fast.
In honor of the great Emperor Justin Trudeau, let me play you guys a little clip. This is 8 years ago. And it looks like to be a rally, maybe for a campaign rally. Woody, how long ago was Trudeau elected Prime Minister? Let's see if he answers. Woody Bush. I guess he's not going to let me know. Listen to this, guys.
Conservatives, and they'll take any chance they get to knock it down. But Trudeau has a way of giving them those chances. Trudeau's meeting last week with a group of Toronto women was an example. Even with Sun TV watching for any slip, he was asked which country he most admired and referred to China.
There's a level of admiration I actually have for China. Because their basic dictatorship is allowing them to actually turn their economy around on a dime and say we need to go green as fast as we need to start investing in solar. I mean, there is a flexibility that I know Stephen Harper must dream about, of having a dictatorship that he could do everything he wanted, that I find quite interesting.
Trudeau's rivals pounced on that, saying it proves he admires dictatorship.
His answer demonstrates again a long-standing position of our party.
Let me rewind that here.
Because
dude, I actually saw that interview.
Yeah. Let me just rewind this and let people listen to this again.
Even with Sun TV watching for any slip, he was asked which country he most admired and referred to China.
There's a level of admiration I actually have for China. Because their basic dictatorship is allowing them to actually turn their economy around on a dime and say we need to go green as fast as we need to start investing in solar. I mean, there is a flexibility that I know Stephen Harper must dream about, of having a dictatorship that he could do everything he wanted, that I find quite interesting.
Trudeau's rivals pounced.
I have a lot of comments I can make on this. But that was a while ago.
Okay, for one, the country he should have the most admiration for, which should probably be the fucking United States.
Yeah.
Because we're basically like fucking brothers with those guys.
Yeah. And a lot of Canadians have died alongside U.S. Citizens to have the fucking rights that they have. And he's willing to come in there and undermine that whole system. How many Chinese people have died in a war with Canada? Find me that answer. You want to know what it is? Fucking zero. You know why? Because we were always fighting them in in Korean War, in Vietnam. Canadians were there. Oh, think about what he's saying here. How stupid can you be? How did... I know I went off on Woody about this yesterday, and look, guys, Woody Bush does not support this. I'm pretty sure just by talking to him, he does not like this guy. But I'm just giving him a hard time here, so let me not use his name like that. But how does anyone elect this guy after saying something like that? A dictatorship is great, and he admires it, and he finds it fascinating because of how, they've gone green the fastest. Isn't China like the most polluted country in the world? Like, I'm pretty sure
They are, and that's why the average Chinese citizen actually wears a fucking mask everywhere they go, because they're trying to get anything bad out of the air that they can. They've been wearing masks for years before coronavirus even happened.
You know what the average GDP per citizen in China is? $10,000. You know what it is in the United States? 60 or 70,000. I'm sure it's a lot higher than China and Canada too. I'm sure Canada is probably somewhere close to where it is in the U.S. as far as wealth per citizen. So the country that is actually more advanced than China has a prime minister that wants to be like China? Think about this. The United States is the number one country in the world in many aspects. Power, economy, all that. Imagine a fucking presidential candidate. Well, Bernie Sanders was one, but he didn't win. But imagine a presidential candidate that won saying that he wants to be like a country that was lesser than us. Oh, so you just want to set us back 400 fucking years in the economy and military-wise and foreign relation-wise? So you can be a dictator and worry about climate change? Come on. Guys, I say this all the time. There's only one unlimited resource in this world, and that's stupidity. Pook says, yet people prefer Yeti cups made in the same factory as RTIC and even Walmart brand. That is true too. It's all about the name. Pook. Name recognition. But that's why Trump left a Paris Agreement. That's what it's coming to. A lot of this stuff is starting to connect. And I know Canada's a little different, right? But if it can happen in Canada, then it can happen here. It's just going to be a little more of a delay.
Oh, okay. So now I don't know if there's any validity to this. Where I work, I get to speak with a lot of Canadians. Okay, like on a daily basis, I speak with Canadians. I've heard on numerous occasions them say that Justin Trudeau is in some relation to fucking Fidel Castro, and the way he leans politically, that absolutely would not surprise me, because the guy is a little fucking communist. I mean, and now, I mean, there's not problems with all communists. You know, Russia's communist, and
they're not anymore.
Really,
though.
not terribly.
They're not communist anymore. That ended with the Soviet
Well,
Union.
there are a lot of communists there still.
Yeah. So like their administration, like this is what they were saying. Part of the reason with Russia's economy, you understand? Russia has never in its history had a democracy ever. The people didn't even know what a democracy was, right? So when the United States was thinking like, well, what should we do? Should we implement democracy because they had a chance, or should we punish them? We chose to punish them, but they don't know what a democracy is. They're starting to try and go down that route, but a lot of the the higher ups politically are still from the Soviet Union. And so they're trying to operate a government system that they don't know a lot about. And they said this is a lot of the problems with it. But the economy isn't a communist economy. Now, you're right. Culturally and socially, they may be communist, right? So there is that, obviously, aspect to it. I'm just saying economically they're not communist, just like Canada isn't, but Canada's starting to go culturally and socially because of their leadership down that communist path. I would argue, though, Kentucky is, when you said, there's good communists, I don't think there is. You can go ahead.
I was gonna say, not, you're gonna have your fucking bad eggs in every political party, no matter what, and then you're also gonna have your good ones. And now this is like part of like how I try to give everybody a chance, but I mean, until you prove me wrong, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you prove to me that you're just like the typical such and such whatever political party you're part of, all right. But I mean, I'll try and attempt to give you the benefit of the doubt. And I mean, I do know some communists. I actually happen to know a lot of people that have immigrated over here from Russia, and they're typically communist leaning, but that doesn't exactly make you a horrible person, because the ones that I know that have come over here in refugee status are really not bad people at all. They're just trying to make their way like everybody else.
I understand, but it makes you wonder why they're still communists. Go ahead, Marcos.
When you start arguing with a communist, you are arguing with a guy who makes apology. It's right. Apologize. Regimes like the Chinese regime, like Stalin's regime.
Yeah.
So he's looking at you like a cadaver, a body, a dead man, because that's how they operate.
So, yeah, and that's a good point too, Marcos. Like, Kentucky, you said you've talked to a lot of people that have come from communist countries. Do you still think that they support communism, though? Because that kind of defeats the whole purpose in them coming here. I feel like it's almost hypocritical for them to support communism, but they fled a communist country. You know what I'm saying? I feel like a lot of the people, like the Cubans that come here from Cuba, do not like communism. That's why they all voted for Trump, because they didn't like the socialist shit that Biden was trying to implement. There's a difference.
No, I mean, I guess that would be a more correct analogy of the people that are coming here. Because I mean, they did flee their country for political reasons. I actually worked with a guy not too long ago. His family was part of the mob. Apology in advance if you're hearing any background noise. I'm driving back home from McDonald's.
You're okay.
But his family actually had to flee the country because parts of the government were out to get him and his family because of their dealings with the mob.
Exactly. And
basically his dad had basically rolled over on the mob, and was because they were trying to kill him, so he was like, okay, well, basically tried to turn parts of the mob in, and then trying to think of the damn word for it. Corruption runs deep, especially in Russia. In a lot of places in Russia, corruption runs very deep.
And so when I made that comment, I don't think there is a good communist, because, like Marco said, for someone to support communism, either they're irrational, which isn't good, or they've actually taken the time and they support it based off of a rational opinion, which means they know they've taken the information available to them and created that narrative and that opinion that they have, and they are at that point sympathizing for the atrocities that these communist regimes have made over the last 100 years. If you support communism, you support what communism has done. Because it hasn't worked. There's no way around that. There's no way to argue that. You can say, well, Stalin was bad. Oh, really? What about North Korea? What about China? What about Venezuela? What about all the Eastern European countries that at one point practiced it? It's never worked.
Or places like Vietnam or Myanmar.
There's a lot of examples. Cambodia. There's a lot of examples, and when you support that idea, you're supporting something that's doesn't work. That's what I cannot get around that. It's like, hell, I don't even know what other example is it. It's like trying to take freaking
North Korea. You have the Balkans. You have a whole bunch of countries that go down with the Soviet Union.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's just
obviously some countries are way more extreme into communism than other countries.
Mm-hmm.
Like North Korea, for example.
Mm-hmm.
They are hard on their people.
But that's the end result of communism. That is what communism hopes to achieve, though. A true public ownership of all industry and societal ownership, like that whole, what communism is supposed to end up being is North Korea. If you think I'm lying, I'm not. They're not allowed religion. Everyone's the same. Everyone is the same. You have the few people that are maybe a little higher
they were
up.
Forced to cry when their leader died.
Yep. Everyone is the same. You have what's called what is it? Patriotic rice, where the rice farmers, as soon as they grow that rice, the government comes and picks it up. Your shit is owned by the government in North Korea. And if you think I'm lying, go look it up. Every month they come around, they collect all the shit to use for fertilizer. You don't own anything. Not a fucking thing. Where do you think they got where do you think they got it from? The Soviet Union. If you support communism, you support every person. Sorry. You support people like Kim Jong-un. You support all those, Stalin and Chi. You support all of them. If you support socialism, you support Hitler. What do you think he was? What do you think Nazi means?
Socialism.
Exactly. You know what socialism is? It's the in-between of capitalism and communism, but it's a state that is on its way out of capitalism and on its way to communism. A socialist country is on its way to communism.
Happened like in the theory. The result of socialism, it's what we have in North Korea, in Cuba.
Yep. Go look at the cars they drive in Cuba. How old are they? In the 50s, like from the 50s, 40s, some of them. Very old cars. If they have a car. You want to see, I never can understand this. Go look at the difference between Seoul, South Korea, and Pyongyang, North Korea. How far are they apart? Like 100 miles? Not even 100 miles. I don't know. They're not very far apart. The only thing that separates them is the 38th parallel, right? The DMZ separates them in the border of their country.
They have oh God, I forgot the time that you live. The term 10 years. The North Korean live less than the South Koreans.
Well, when you cross that 38th parallel, it's almost like you time travel.
I mean, I would say it's almost like going into space, into another whole world. You know, it's like it's not even the same planet. And what do you think they do? These communist regimes, if you want to keep power, because people get tired, people want the shit that they work for. If you're working your ass off every day, you want a piece of that. In communism, you don't get it. And so to keep people oppressed, what do? They starve you. That's why this whole world hunger thing is a fucking scam. You can't solve world hunger. The only way you're going to solve world hunger is if you go and you start killing these people like Kim Jong-un or Xi or these military leaders in Africa and taking these countries over and implementing the same society that we have here in the United States, and it still won't solve it. You know why? Because then you got to, or if it does, it's going to be a while, because you got to grow the food. You have to start producing it. That's what it is. It's such a joke to me when, you know, that guy said Elon Musk could end world hunger with $6 billion. No, he fucking couldn't. Well, he's going to buy all the food? You still got to feed them one time. Great. And you know what? They're not even going to get the food to the people that are hungry. You're going to go into... You're telling me Kim Jong-un is going to allow someone to drive across 38th parallel with 200,000 tons of food and start handing it out? No, because he's at risk at that point of losing his citizens, because they're going to sympathize the people that bring the food to him. They're going to turn against them. Hungry people can't think for themselves.
Regime? It's China.
Yeah. Remember, hungry people cannot think for themselves. If you're so worried about eating, you don't care about anything else, because and they know this. The first thing we need is food and water. We need water first and then food. And if you're not getting that, nothing else matters. Why do you think people revert to eating other people, like the Donner Party or the airplane that crashed in South America, the hockey team? Why do you think they get that far? Because they're starving, because you have to eat. Do you think they were cared about fucking politics when they're up on the mountain and they're starving to death, waiting to be rescued?
Michael, it happens in Venezuela. Mm-hmm. I have pictures of open street markets with pieces of people's bodies to sell like meat.
What? Really?
It's true. And I see from a Venezuelan guy who works here in Brazil.
That's
interesting.
I didn't know that. I didn't know it was that bad. That is, but there you go. There you go.
And I don't know if it was this podcast or somebody else's podcast where they talked about like the Holocaust of World War II and the atrocities that Hitler committed, and somebody had like a grandfather who had died and was turned into a lampshade, and that lampshade is in a museum. You know, talk about very sickening what Hitler did, and the Nazi regime.
Yeah.
Hey, Raccoon. And I'm 10 minutes left in tonight's show.
Yep, and a few more minutes, and then I'll let you do your plugs, Eric. But people don't want to learn history, right? People want to forget all the bad things that happened, or they want to censor it. People want to only teach the future. That's the problem. No one fucking knows what the future is going to hold. No one knows what's going to happen in the future. You need to teach the past to avoid certain things from happening in the future. We don't need to talk about LGBTQ stuff in school, okay, and say, oh, you need to support this, blah, 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 because in the future it's going to do all this. No. You need to go and maybe teach about how people were oppressed in the United States. I'm fine with that. Yeah, go teach history. Go teach American history. Teach about how Hitler killed 6 million
learn
Jews.
the ancient Greeks, man, the philosophy. They are still right.
Say that again?
Go read Aristotle, Socrates. Go read the ancient Greeks. They still right.
Yeah.
Until today.
Yeah. That's the stuff that you need to learn. Go learn about why our government was created. Not laws that are trying to be imposed to oppress us.
Well, and John DeVito mentioned this on his podcast, like, that you have people like in Poland and in Germany who are asked like about like the Auschwitz concentration camp, for example, like why is that not being torn down and demolished? And the answer that citizens give is so that they never forget their history, because they oftentimes the big saying about history is people who forget history are condemned to repeat it.
Yep, I think that's something I want to do. Look, and I told Britt this. I want to go to Europe, and I have a couple things I want to see in Europe. I want to go to, I want to go to Switzerland and see the Alps. Obviously, I want to go to Omaha Beach.
Go
ahead.
Sorry, you go ahead, Michael. Sorry.
I want to go to Omaha Beach. Maybe Ireland, just because my family's from there. But Omaha Beach, and I want to go to Poland to Auschwitz. Now, I'm not Jewish, but I think everyone should have to visit that place. I think everybody should have to visit that place. And I really want to see it. And I know I've met some people that have been there. One of my friends went there, and he said it was extremely sad, and it's a very eerie feeling you get when you're there. I'm fine with that. I think everyone should have to go and see that and what happened and why 70 million people died, 120 estimated people died during World War II, and why people risked their lives, and why we have a lot of the problems that we have now, but why the world is a lot of the way that it is now.
That's why America, man, is so great.
Mm-hmm.
You look at Washington and you see a memorial from Martin Luther King. You have a memorial for the Korean War. You have a memorial for the Vietnam War.
Mm-hmm.
Here in Brazil, for an example, we don't have nothing of it. That here in our capital, in DC, you have all these things. Remember the citizens, what happened before they even being born.
Yeah, and here in the South, they want to get rid of all of the Civil War statues of the Southern people, right? Oh, we're glorifying them, blah, blah. No, that's history. What, you're just going to cut them out of history so no one knows who they are? Robert E. Lee is responsible for military tactics that we still use today, and is probably one of the greatest military minds to ever walk this planet. He also served in the Mexican-American War before the Civil War for the United States. You know why? They asked him to be a general in the Union Army. You know why he didn't? Because he was from Virginia. He wanted to fight for his home. Because back then, before the Civil War, it was more about the state you were from, because of, like I said before, states are like little countries. It was more about where the state you were from than it was necessarily the United States. There's a lot of people like that. It wasn't because he thought that, he may have had slaves, so did everyone else. You can't just, get rid of someone like that.
Africans start slavery, man. Sorry, Pook,
Portuguese,
you are wrong, man.
Well, hold on. Portuguese didn't start slavery. The Romans had slaves. The Egyptians had slaves. How do you think all that shit was built? Slavery has been around.
The Irish had slaves too.
Yeah, the Irish were slaves at one point. Every culture in history, every one of them has had slaves.
And
Every
I know,
single one of
like
them.
the slaves that were brought here to the United States from the African continent, you know, it was basically, the African slaves that were brought over here. It was their own people who were betraying them and selling them into slavery, or or luring them into that trap to be sold to slavery.
It's a result from tribal wars that they were traded by merchandise.
Well, they also say, oh, the white man came over here and took all the land from the natives. And they act like the natives weren't fighting each other, taking land and enslaving each other for the 30,000 years they were here before the white people got here. What's the difference? The humankind is we are a warrior, we are a fighting animal. Like, we are all about war. We have since we freaking evolved into what we are. War's been happening since whenever.
Hobbes.
Yep. You know why? Because we're driven by ambition. We're driven by growth and power. That's just us. Why do you think capitalism works so well? That's why communist fails, because we aren't okay with the status quo. Like other animals are, right? Other animals, they just want to go hunt their food, eat and drink some water and take a shit and sleep a little bit. We aren't like that. We have more stuff that drives us. And when, we, over time, that's what gets us. War will never be stopped. Because once it's stopped here, it's just going to continue somewhere else, when we're on the next planet. And it's never going to be stopped. Eric, go ahead and plug your shows in. Hold on.
Well,
Before you do, let me do this. I'm gonna end it on Facebook and then you can plug it in. So, I appreciate you guys tuning in on Facebook in the comments. Probably be back on tomorrow.
11 p.m. Eastern.
Yep, and I appreciate it and thank you.